for another episode of Outdoors People. First, there's me, C.W. Getz, and her, Maya Marzaki. Good evening. It's Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. I couldn't wait to do that for you. February. Because for years I said February like a lot of people do, I think. Or maybe I'm the only person, the only idiot that does that. But anyway, so. Well, it's a 29-degree sunny day here in Chicago, Illinois, and that converts to -2 degrees for -2 degrees Celsius for the rest of the world. And our neighbors up north are getting the cold weather too, so it's not just us. I think actually they may be a little colder than we are. So, but hey, how's your weather in São Paulo, Brazil, Maya Marzaki?
Oh boy! So I'm not in São Paulo City. I'm countryside, but São Paulo State.
The best place to be.
Yes, I think so. That's true.
Yeah.
Actually, it is a cold summer with 29 degrees Celsius, and it means 67 Fahrenheit.
Wow. We've got your temperature in Fahrenheit, and or no. You got, how is that? Wait a minute. Ours is
67 Fahrenheit.
29 in Celsius, and we have 60. I'd take your weather. I miss the warm weather, and we're just talking to some of our friends up north, Camper Christina today, and she's like,
"Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, they have. I forget what she told me temperatures. In fact, I talked to Dennis Canoe Hound Rogers today as well, and they've been having some cold weather up there too, but they're looking forward to some, I guess. In fact, I think they said they're getting some more cold weather coming in too. So, winter's not over
really?
Yet. Yeah. Do you know the whole Punxsutawney Phil thing in America? Maybe you don't. It's the groundhog thing for Groundhog Day. Have you ever heard of that? Groundhog's Day? Groundhog's Day?
No, I'm sorry.
It's a weird deal. I know. And it's this crazy tradition that Americans do. But so if he sees his shadow, which I believe he did, if he sees his shadow comes up out of the ground, that means another 6 weeks of winter. But if he doesn't, I'm not sure how long they say, well, we're going to have. So I don't really get it. I never really did understand that, to be honest with you, and I had better things to do than to try to figure out this crazy tradition that we have in America.
Like it's more like a superstition, right?
Yeah, kind of a weird deal. I never did, and I don't even know where it started. I really don't. I mean, and I'm thinking, they do this Punxsutawney Phil thing is in Pennsylvania, which is where my biological family is from. Yeah, Pennsylvania. So I don't know. I forget where in Pennsylvania it happens, but anyway, in fact, Marielle and I watched it the other day on the news as it was happening live in wherever it is in Pennsylvania that they do this. So yeah.
So it's a big thing.
It's a big thing. People were drinking in the street. I don't know. It's another.
Well, sounds fun.
I don't know.
It's like a winter carnival.
Well, yeah, and people were, and it's the cool thing is they dress in these top hats. You know what a top hat is? It's do you remember seeing pictures of a fellow named Abraham Lincoln in the United States?
Yes, of course. I think everyone ever had.
I'm like, oh, everybody knows him. But anyways, it's a straight brimmed hat with real tall, flat top, everything. So yeah, they were like 3 or 4 of them were out there wearing that. So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, sounds like, I don't know, like Scottish.
I don't know, but I bet you Cliff Jacobson has one of those hats. He's backstage laughing. I just gave away our surprise guy. But anyway, yes, it was kind of a cool thing. So he saw his shadow, 6 more weeks of this winter weather, and then we'll break out the bikinis as usual. So, yeah. Hope that be a
poor of you guys. The only problem of the summer here is that rains every day, so we are not able to do too much outdoor stuff because it is dangerous, right?
Now,
so yes, that's the only problem of the summer here.
Tell us, between these rains, you have a little news to share with us, right?
I don't know. I have so many news. So which one are you talking
Which
about?
one? Let's have a lot going on there,
The
man.
one, yeah, the one
Well,
I moved
the one I'm thinking
to
of,
another house, or the
yes.
one you are coming to visit me?
Oh, that's
Which?
our news. That's our news for later, but yeah. We spilled the beans on that last show, I think, or a couple of shows ago. But
Yes.
yeah, the move. You made a big move. And tell us where you moved. How far was it?
Uh, well, it's not that big move now, but I move out to the city to countryside. So I'm living in the top of the mountains in the middle of the rainforest. My backyard is pretty much the big rock I love to climb.
Oh wow.
So it's
Yeah.
been very nice. So my boyfriend and I moved to this city some months ago, but in kind of a cabin, like mountain cabin, pretty small, but
Sure.
with garden.
Sure.
So this week we moved to a real house in the same street.
So just kind of next door, basically, right?
Basically, yeah,
That's
next
cool.
door.
How do you, and did you just carry your stuff next door, or did you actually put it onto a vehicle, a truck?
We put in the car.
Did you?
In our car, and then go to the house, because the new house is up in the hill. So I was not too happy on move my own bed in my own neck.
Yeah, right. So it's not really next door. It's a little bit down the road. That's cool.
Yes, kind of. It is next door, but it is in the same street, in pretty much next door. But once it is bigger, the landscape, the house, it is in the top of like in the end of the area.
So okay.
You need to go up. You are going to see when you come.
I think I will. Yeah. And if I drive there, I have an international driving permit now. Isn't that scary?
Yeah, it's so fancy.
I've never had that before. And so I get to drive. But fortunately, you guys drive on the same side of the road that we do. So I don't have to. Yeah. It's not like Europe where I'd be like totally backwards.
It is not a big deal. But here in the small cities, people usually don't follow the rules. Okay, it is just a suggestion. You may stop. You may not
rules
stop.
there either. So no.
So
not that much different. I love it. That's why we have jails and prisons, I guess, so people like us can't follow the rules. Anyway, be that as it may. Oh my gosh. Hey, we got a good friend here with us. It has been so kind. I called him up. I said, hey, you want to come on a show? He goes, yeah, sure. Why not? So I'm thinking, all right, man. He, again, does us another favor and saved our butts. Yeah. Because we had a guest lined up for tonight, but it just didn't pan out. And I hear a dog. Is that your dog?
Oh, yes. So, no, it's my dog. I have 2 dogs.
Okay.
And they like to bark.
I see that. I hear that.
And
that's interesting.
Yeah, I am such a mess because I didn't do my studio, so I'm pretty much outside with my computer and terrible lights, and my dogs are here barking. So
you're literally
I'm sorry,
on
guys.
the outside. You're outside the house on the patio. We would call it a patio, but you're outside.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So if like a bobcat comes along or something, then I'll understand. If you got to go, it's like some wild animal comes out the middle of the night going, I gotta go. Okay, I get it. That's funny.
A tiger,
Well, yeah.
Snake.
And you have tigers there, do you, or no? You don't have.
Kind of. We have a Brazilian one called onça.
Do you have that kind of stuff?
Smaller.
Okay.
It is smaller and much more beautiful.
Well, that's funny.
But we call onça.
Okay.
But it's a giant cat.
And you have those that come up to your house at some point through the middle of the night or something like that?
It's not that common.
Yeah.
And I have 2 big dogs as well. So
there's usually not a big problem.
And they are much scared of people than they like the big tigers. Gotcha. So they don't want to be around people.
Gotcha. I know how they feel.
Yes, right?
Be around people.
I don't judge.
Let's bring on the Wisconsin Tiger, Mr. Jacobson. How's that?
Hi, guys. Maya, it is so good to see you. Susie sends her best, by the way.
Oh, that's
Boy,
awesome.
the same. I'm
Oh,
so
my
happy
God.
that
Oh,
we are
my goodness.
talking.
How have,
Thank
how
you
have
so
you
much.
been, Cliff?
Well, I've been good. Hey, but before we start, this is pretty funny what you said. You told that story about you got this international driver's license, you know?
Yeah.
Well, when I was in the Army, I was stationed in Germany for a couple of years. Of course, I had an international license.
Yeah.
And then I came back home on leave. I was on the rifle team. So at the time, I came back home on leave, and I had this little black MG. It was a 1960 MGA. And I don't remember what the deal was, but I was driving it somewhere out east, visiting my aunt and my uncle. It's a little black MG with the top down. And yeah, I was speeding, okay, it's not a very fast car, but it'll still do more than the speed limit, So I was probably doing about 15 over, something like that, 15, 20 over, something like that. And the cop pulls me up. Do you have let me see your driver's license. Well, it was really interesting because I actually had 3 licenses. I had my Indiana driver's license, and I had one when I was down in Oklahoma. So I had an Oklahoma driver's license, and I had this international driver's license. So I said, God, I can't afford a ticket, man. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to give this cop my international license. So I give him my international license, and he goes like, what is this thing?
Really?
I said, yeah, he didn't know what it was. And I said, it's an international license, sir. Well, don't you have a state license? No, sir, I'm in the Army. I'm stationed in Germany. So that's what I have to have. There's an international license. So he rolls it over a few times, sort of scratches his head, and he said, all right, slow down, boy. I got away with it. So next time you get stopped, show me your international license and see what happens.
I read something about what happens what do you do when you get stopped? And I think they said you have to, now I don't know how it was back then, but you have to accompany your American driver's license with this international permit, because there's a little piece of paper,
Well, that could be me, but you got to realize this was 1963.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when did they come out with the international driver's permit? As they call it?
Well, in order to drive in Europe, of course, everything in Europe is all international road signs.
Yeah.
So you had in order to drive there, you pass a test, so the international signs. Now, the international signs work everywhere except in one place I've ever been, Quebec.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And then everything's in French. So
really? So they really just have French. There's no English going on there.
Oh yeah, there is, but they still it's pretty annoying to drivers too, because there are still places. I still remember going to the airport in Montreal, and this is a final approach, and there's millions of cars and roads going everywhere, and the signs are all in French, no English underneath, and I didn't know where I was. I kept going around and around and around. I mean, I finally found the place, but it was like, come on, just doing international signs here. But
yeah, see, that would be scary. I mean, really, because you don't know where the hell you're going, and the signs aren't in your language. What do? You
figure it out.
You just keep driving around until you figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, and so with this, I didn't really have to pass any tests. All I had to do was apply for it, and they made sure that my Illinois driver's license was valid. And I have a CDL as well, so I don't know if that helped me or not, but I'm sure it didn't hurt. But yeah.
You didn't even have to take a written test or anything?
I don't think so. No, I don't recall it.
I don't remember how we got them. I mean, that's too long. That's 40 years ago, So
well, and I'm getting to the point now, Cliff, where at 61, I don't even know what the hell I did yesterday. So I'm
right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that too.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But do you need an international drive license to drive in Brazil? The United States doesn't work here.
Well, I think now if I were to come over to Brazil, for example, they just would let me drive because all your signs you got international road signs everywhere.
Yeah.
So but the US the US has adopted some of them.
Yeah.
We have some international signs, but mostly everything is just in English.
Oddly enough, I think when you come here from Brazil, you're legal to drive. I know that in Ukraine, this is from past experience, Ukrainians can come here and drive legal. I think they give you I don't know if it's 6 months or if it's a little longer, that they'll say, okay, if you're going to be here for any longer than that or whatever, then you need to,
better you take care of that. Yeah, makes sense.
That or be shot. I don't know, so So anyway, so now, Cliff, the last time we spoke, not counting the telephone, but in person, was Canoecopia 25,
my last one.
Right?
Yeah, my last one was a blast.
That's right. It was a
good time.
In fact, I think the last meal that we ate together was La Hacienda. Does that sound right?
Yep.
And thank you
good
again.
Mexican restaurant.
Fantastic.
Good food. Yeah.
Thank you again for that invitation. That was amazing. And you got a lot of great friends, by the way, which one would expect, of course. But he's a rock star. Well, they have all the cool friends,
right?
Everybody wants to be their friend. And that was a very good time. Very good time.
I did. Yeah.
Did you enjoy that show? I mean, was that like an extra special show for you? Like, oh my gosh, this is like the last Elvis tour. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like I said, it's important to quit while you can still get on the horse, rather than when somebody's pushing you on. So, that's good. And I mean, I decided to call it quits for several reasons. One, I don't do these big wild Canadian trips anymore. And that doesn't take away from the fact that I have a repertoire of, scores of years doing them and the experience that goes with them. Still, things change, okay? Small things change. And the thing about, if you're going to be a presenter, you have to have new information all the time. And every time you go on a canoe trip, I don't care if it's, if it's the same one you've done before. And even if it's the same one you've done before many times, it still is always different in some ways, okay? Maybe the wildlife's different. Sometimes the rapids are different, and sometimes that makes a huge difference of how you approach things, okay? So the point is, you'll have a story to tell, or you'll have stories to tell. But if you quit doing those things, you don't have stories to tell anymore. The only stories you can tell are the old stories. So you got to know when to hang it up. And, I don't want to be a doddering old man up there. So it was time to go. And then it was a great time. That doesn't mean I'm still not doing canoeing and camping. I am. But it's a little different now than it was when I was younger.
When did you decide to not do the far north trips anymore? What was the thing that made you say, you know what? I think this is going to be my last far north trip.
Well, there's a lot of things that happen when you get older. Okay, so I'm 85, which is ancient. Ancient.
It's not ancient. Stop that.
So I'm 80, but the point is, first of all, your body is not in perfect shape when you're 85.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of nerve problem in one leg. It doesn't really slow me down, but I can walk. Okay, I can do 2-3 mile walk, and then I'm tired.
Sure.
I have to sit down. Well, you stick a 60-pound pack on me and have me try to go uphill. And, I had a heart attack 12 years ago. Okay, not a good plan. So, I don't want to do those heavy portages anymore. And the other thing that happens too is your attitude changes with age a bit too. It's like, it's not a matter of been there, done that. It's a matter of been there, done that, learned a lot. Gee, that was fun, but it's okay. I can go on and do something different now. It's okay. I would still like to maybe do it, but in a sense, I don't miss it because I stood in the middle of thousands of caribou and muskox, grizzly bears, polar bears. I've had all those experiences. So it's time to do some different things, and so kind of that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think the whole concept of, you know what, I'm going to go out while I'm on top or while I'm still, you know what I mean? I like that. I don't think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people they'll stay in it until they literally can't do what they want to do. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan went out while he was on top, same as Cliff Jacobson. I think that's really,
you can still, the thing that people have to understand, I think, is when you get to be older, there's a few things that do change. One is you just get tired sooner. So the idea of getting up at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, being on the trail at 8:30, an hour and a half later, and then punching it till 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
right.
you can still do this stuff, but the first rule is you really got to shorten your day. For me now, quite honestly, I'm happy with 4 hours, 5 hours. That's it for a trip. I'm each day. Okay. Yeah. The second thing is you also learn that, okay, you've developed all these skills over the years, which is fine. And maybe you were a 10 out of 10 on those skills. Sure. Well, when you get to be older, you still know those skills. You know what you have to do, but you're not a 10 out of 10 anymore. You're more like about an 8.5 or an 8.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example.
Sure.
This was something that really came home to me. There's a little river by our house. It's a class 1 trout stream. It's a solid rapid, literally, for 10 miles. Now, the rapids aren't very big. They're riffles through class 1. Sometimes it'll hit a low class 2. But it's a very twisty river, and there's always a lot of stuff down in it, especially after a storm. Mm-hmm. Now, I have done that river conservatively 100 times, probably more than that, in my solo canoe. So I pretty much know every turn and twist and so forth. And so I came upon, there was a strainer there, and there was a narrow slot to get through. And so I ferried over to the left side of the river, okay, which was the inner bank, mm-hmm. right? And I sat there for a minute looking at this. Now, I was on a sandy beach area, and all I had to do to avoid this obstacle was get out of my canoe and pull it 60 feet, maybe 20 yards, and get back in it again. And that's the end of the ball game. But then I was having a little leg trouble, and I said to myself, I really don't want to get out of my boat. And I looked at that strainer again. I said, I can do this. I said, this is not hard. Because all I have to do is I can just back this thing up, do a slight turn to the left, ferry over to the right, and then just before I get to this thing, snap that boat to the right, and bingo, I'll go right through the slot. Yep. I said, I've done this many times. Sure. It's not a big deal.
Sure.
Well, turned out to be a very big deal because I somehow I didn't have the angle exactly right, or I didn't have quite enough power. Bingo, capsized. Now I'm in the water.
No.
It's actually kind of a funny story because just earlier that day, there was a guy who was a kid about 19 years old, and he was on the same river, and he'd capsized his kayak in a little strainer. And so I helped him get out. And so here I am down here, I'm chest deep in water, trying to get my boat out, and it's belly up to the current. I'm trying to twist this thing around. Okay, no, it's open side to the current. I'm trying to twist this thing around so it's belly up to the current, and I'm really having a problem. He sees me, beaches, helps me, and pretty soon we have the boat out, dumped, and I'm back on my way again. Yep. But now I'm pretty much gun shy for the rest of the time. So sure. I learned an important lesson. And the lesson is, 20 years earlier, this would have been no problem. Now it is a problem. And the reason why it's a problem is because my reaction times are slower now. And I've seen this when I've been paddling rapids in my solo canoe. If I'm going to do an eddy turn, I got to start it earlier. If I'm going to do a ferry, I have to start it earlier and I'm not as powerful as I was before. So I've lost power, okay? and I've lost some of the ability to do things as quickly. So that's one of the things that you learn, if you want to keep doing this stuff. And it's the same thing camping. If you're going to go camping, I find that, for example, setting up a tent now is not so fun. Why? Because I have to kneel down on my knees, and I got a torn meniscus in one knee, which is kind of healed up pretty good, and another torn one in the other knee from kneeling so much, I guess, in canoes. Yeah. And that one never quite healed up quite right. So kneeling on that hard ground isn't fun. So I have to do that to put stakes in the ground. So there's just stuff like that makes things more difficult. But that doesn't mean you stop doing it.
It's funny you say that, because I experienced the same thing. We talked about this on the phone. I have a torn meniscus where I had one in my left knee. And the surgeon, at the time I was the president of a men's adult hardball baseball league. And I said, I want to play ball next spring. This was in the fall that this happened. And so he said, well, I can do this with two ways. I can do it the right way, which is I'm going to stitch that up for you. And it will heal but he goes, here's the thing. It's going to take a year to heal that. So you're not going to play ball next spring. I assure you. And I said, oh, I don't want to do that. And he said, well, there's the other way. And it's not the wrong way, but it's just not the preferred way, is I'm just going to cut that piece of torn meniscus out. But he said, but he warned me, you will have arthritis later in life. And sure enough, he was right. I sure do have that. So I understand, even at my age, what that's like. And it's no fun. But now, so let me ask you, I'll run right into this question then. Cliff, at 85 years old, are there other things that you do differently that you would probably recommend to other people who are seniors, if they're, for canoeing and camping and that sort of thing?
Well, first, before we get to that, I want to go back to this last thing, because I've had shoulder, I've had all kinds of problems with my body, and I was supposed to get surgery on all, but I'm not a believer in surgery.
Yeah.
Okay. So the meniscus in my left knee, I fix this stuff with physical therapy. I'm willing to do the physical therapy. I had a wrist that I couldn't barely move or hold a paddle, and they wanted to cut it. No. Physical. It took me about 8 or 9 months to fix the wrist. It took me about a year to fix the meniscus. Wow. So the interesting part is the meniscus in the left knee, which was torn pretty good, so good that I couldn't even move on it, is fine. No. But I didn't do the exercises for the right side. I only did them for the left side. And if you're going to do physical therapy, you got to do them for both sides. Otherwise, the bad side compensates and you have problems with it, which is why I'm having problems with my right knee. But the bottom line is, I would tell people, you know what? Do surgery at the last moment. Okay. For example, I have a friend of mine who's a retired physician. And people come into him and they ask me, Doc, should I get hip surgery? And he says, I'm going to ask you a question. He says, you go into Walmart and you buy some stuff and you take it out and you bring it back to your car. And all of a sudden, when you get back to your car, you realize, I forgot something. Okay, question. Are you willing to walk back to Walmart and get it? If the answer is yes, don't get surgery. If the answer is no, okay, go ahead. Yeah. But I forgot the more important part of your question now.
No, that's you know what? I've never heard that, and I had really, but that makes a lot of sense. And I'm with you.
It's a really good tip. Sorry to repeat you. That's a really good tip for everyone, because young people forget that they are going to get older and don't care about the body, right?
That was me.
So for everyone who are listening, young or not, oh my gosh, my dogs! I'm so sorry. They're barking so bad. But anyways, do the physiotherapy exercise like every day. Take care of your body, of your health to be like Cliff with 85 years old, canoeing and doing those amazing trips and enjoying and having fun. So that's a really good tip, Cliff. Yeah.
And
Thank you for sharing.
Did you hear everything she said? Her microphone kind of cut out a little bit there.
Oh boy.
No.
Sorry.
No, that's right. Not too bad. But the thing is, I was that guy, Maya. I was the guy that I didn't care. I want to play baseball. I'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And until it wasn't. And then it was like, damn, I should have listened to it. Yeah. What was he? But I don't know. I don't know how old I was. I was 30 something. And I think the whole thing was, at the time, I didn't know how much longer I could play baseball. That was going to have the ability to do that. And so I was like, every year counted. So I don't know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I know what, let's ask, what would your advice be, Cliff? You're in your 30s. Do you say, hey man, I'm bulletproof? You know how that goes. Or do you go, no, because someday I may live to be, and who knows? What would you say if you had to do it again?
I know it's always easy to look back and wonder what you did right and what you did wrong. There were some things I had in my favor. One, I'm a little guy. I'm small. Okay, so my friends. So this is a plus part. When it came to dating girls, I was always very shy because I was only barely 5'6" tall, and I only weighed 128 pounds. And they wanted, they wanted Big John, who just stepped out of his F-150, but there are some advantages in being small. Now, the technical ones, when I was in the Army, I said advantages of being small are basically 3 things. 1, my helmet covers more of me. 2, I present a smaller target to the enemy. And 3, I can dig a shallower foxhole. Okay, but the nice thing about being small is, first of all, as you age, you have less pressure on your spine. Most of my friends are real tall, and the real tall guys, when they get to be in their mid-70s and stuff, they start having some serious back problems.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Really?
We shorter, smaller guys don't have that. So we seem to have less stress on our body than bigger guys could. That's kind of a plus point. When I was younger, I don't think I ate very well, but but when I became more of an adult, then I started eating pretty good. I do have some weaknesses. I have weaknesses for nature's 3 most important foods, which are chocolate, scotch, and popcorn. Okay,
is it in that order? In that order,
just about. So I have a weakness for that, but you can't give anybody advice, because actually what happens is, people go along until something bad happens. And then it's, oh my God, I'm going to change right now and I'm going to do it. That's the emphasis that they need, I think, to change. But, my best advice as an old guy would be, it's just moderation in all things. Just moderation in all things. And number 2,
drink your water.
And number 2, watch. You can say what you want, but watch your weight, because when you start putting weight on, it changes everything. Yeah. One of my friends was what do you call a bone doctor? What are they called? They specialize in bones. Osteo. He said he would have these very obese people come to him, and because their legs were bad, and he said, I need an operation in my legs, and he'd say, no, he says, it's all you got to do. He says, your legs are like shock absorbers. He says that you put too much weight in a truck and the shock absorbers break down. He says, if you want to fix your problem, it's simple: lose weight, and and then they don't come back to them, But I do have a kind of an interesting story about that. If you want to hear this, when I had a heart attack, and after my heart attack, the doctor came to me and he says, well, Cliff, he says, you have the menu, you know what you can eat, what you can't eat. Do you have any questions? And I looked at it and I said, yeah, doc. I said, it says here I'm not supposed to eat butter, but margarine's okay. I said, I'm not putting that plastic crap in my blood veins. And he sort of smiled at me, and he just sort of leaned over and he said, I think there's a book you should read. He said, it's Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It by Gary Taubes. Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It by Gary Taubes. And then he walked away. It was like he was saying to me, okay, I got to give you the party line. The food that is the diet that's recommended here is right out of the 1960s. Just stay on it. I'm telling you what I have to tell you. So I got home and I ordered that book, Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It. It was on the New York Times bestseller list.
Oh, wow.
It's great. I just want to summarize a couple of things from it, which have changed entire perspective. The guy who did this research, this Gary Taubes, he's incredible. But anyway, he said, I want you to look, he says, at what animals eat. He says, if an animal makes a kill, what does it eat? Does it eat the skin, the leanest part of the animal, or does it eat the fattest part? He said, it always eats the fattest part, leaves the leanest part to the rest of the pack. Okay? And then he says, then he tells a story. These are so many stories, and he tells a story about the Pima Indians. Now, evidently, the Pima Indians were one of them before the white man messed things up. The Pima Indians were like some of the most beautiful people in the world. I mean, perfect bodies. So the white man came along and he gave the Pima Indians three things: sugar, coffee, and flour.
No scotch?
He said, no scotch. And
what the hell?
He said the coffee was fine, but he said the sugar and the flour, he said within a few years, they bombed out to be some of the most obese people on the planet.
Really?
He said, you want to lose weight. He says, you don't need a fancy diet. Yeah. As all you need to do is dump two things, just two: white flour, and sugar. That's it.
Really?
And he talks about, he says he has a friend that he's treating that's obese. He says this guy rides like 30 miles, 40 miles a day on a bicycle. He's not getting skinnier. Why? Because he won't give up sugar and flour. He says it's that simple. And he says, as far as eating fat, he says, fat's not the issue. The issue is sugar and flour.
I heard it. So that's true.
Yes, that's so true. And it is so hard for me because my boyfriend, it is pretty much Italian, and my family as well. So pretty much the whole meals, all meals are something with flours. And I got so upset. So I'm trying to change his diet because he's Italian. He loves pasta. He loves like all the things you cannot, and sugar as well, right? Yeah. So
why do I have a feeling? Why do I have a feeling when we get there, you girls are going to be ganging up on us guys? Because
I know I'm
Marielle does the same thing with me. The sugar and the flour. It's like, I'm like, really? Come on. I'm Italian. This is my whole life. Come on. How did I make it this old? But I'm like, no, up there.
It is your DNA, right? You need to. No, I'm kidding. You don't.
Well, what he said. I mean, you agree with that, Maya? That's kind of because it worked, obviously, for.
The point he makes, which is actually true, because I do this, I have one of these exercise bicycles too. But if you ever been on a nice exercise bicycle, you go away, you're doing half an hour on a bicycle. Okay, so what have you lost? 350 calories. I'm trying to remember, what is it? How many calories in a pound is it? 1,500 calories in a pound? Something like that. So that's 6 or 7 hours on a bicycle. He says you're not going to lose weight by exercising. You'll firm up your muscles, but you're not going to. You want to lose weight. sugar and flour.
You know what's funny? Because the gyms around, I don't know in Brazil, but because you people are in shape, but in America, the gyms, there are so many people there in the gym specifically for that purpose. And I know that because I've gone to gyms before. I've belonged to gyms before. And what are you there for? Oh, I'm here to lose. My doctor says I have to lose some weight and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just trying to trim down. And that really doesn't work, does it, Cliff? Like you just said.
Well, it's interesting because after my heart attack, I had to go to rehab. So I was into rehab. I don't know, it was about a month into rehab, something like that. And she says to me, she says, your blood work really looks good. She says, what did you have for breakfast, Cliff? I said, this morning? She said, yeah. And I said, you really want to know? And she said, yeah. I had bacon and eggs.
Oh, wow.
For breakfast. And she looks at me and she says, you had bacon? I said, yeah, I love bacon. She says, your cholesterol is fine. And then what was interesting, when I went to England, in England, they eat a lot of eggs and beans for breakfast. Oh, so wow. I had eggs every morning for breakfast while I was in England. I was in England at a canoe event in Wales. This was some years ago. And then when I came back, I got my blood tested. I said, oh my God, my cholesterol is going to be over the top. Nope, it was just like it was before. It's like those eggs don't register. So anyway, as all I'm suggesting is, if anybody who is a little overweight or thinking about, you get that book that I suggested and you read it. First of all, it's a great read. It's a great read. And it's not, you won't be bored reading it because the guy's a really good writer. So what is my favorite meal when I'm out on one? Oh, I can tell you that. Okay. I will. Yeah. First of all, I used to outfit and guide canoe trips in northern Canada for the Science Museum in Minnesota, the crew of 10 people. Now, when you're going with 10 people and many of your trips are above the Arctic Circle, you're starting out with really cold water. Okay, so it means you got to boil a lot of water for 10 people. In other words, you want to keep things simple. You want to be able to get food done in 20 minutes for a group of 10 people. Mm-hmm. My favorite is one that, and you can remember this because it is so simple. It's 1 pack of beef flavored ramen per person. And with that, you add to this dehydrated hamburger, roughly a quarter to a third of a pound of dehydrated hamburger per person, some mixed dried veggies, and dried shiitake mushrooms. And that's it, folks. Add some red pepper. That kicks it up, a little red pepper. That happens to be everybody's favorite trail meal. And you know how long that baby takes to make? It takes as long as it takes to boil water. I just boil the water, or first I start everything in the cold water except the noodles. Oh, by the way, I add another bouillon cube or two just to kick up the flavor a little more. So I start everything in cold water. Excuse me. I don't start it. I wait until the water boils and then I pour everything in except the hamburger. The hamburger goes in the cold water. And then as soon as it boils, I cover it. I cozy it up. I use my cozy system. We go away for about 10 minutes, come back, everything's done. You've used very little stove fuel, and that happens to be everybody's most favorite meal.
I got to chime in here on something. I got to tell you, Cliff, I have cooked your recipes straight from your book. I honestly, and I'm telling you, your recipes are kick butt. They're awesome. Well, and they work. And the cozies. What a phenomenal invent. I mean, they work and they're great.
I love there's actually a story about that too, about the whole thing. Yeah. Everybody's been people have been trying to figure this out for years and years. How do you cook food for a large group without turning the stew to glue? All right. Yeah. Or second servings are cold. And MSR, Mountain Safety Research, they came out with this thing. It was a metal thing. Some engineer got involved, and it does cook the food faster. That's the good news. But the bad news is once it's done, it cools off real fast. And if you did trips like we did, which were above the tree line, a lot of times it's pretty chilly when you're cooking. You want to keep that stuff hot. Yeah. So I started out, I had a special stand made, a stainless steel stand made that would hold 2 of my Monster Optimus 111B stoves. So I'd run them both, 2 twin blowtorches to heat up enough water in this pot for 10 people.
Yeah.
Went through a lot of stove fuel. Then one day I'm in a tea shop with my wife and I'm looking around, tea cozy. Grandma had it right all along. You don't need all that fancy stuff. That's all you need is a cozy. You bring the water to a boil. You take the pot off. You put it on a closed cellophane pad and you cover it with a cozy and you walk away and come back in 15 minutes and everything cooks by itself. Duh.
And they knew, didn't they? They knew.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, Grandma knew. Yeah. The only thing I did was instead of having a fancy knitted wool cozy, I changed mine around so I had them made with ironing board material, which takes a little bit more heat. And I did some other things to it so you could cook with the cozy on the pot without burning up the cozy. So, but the directions for that are in my books.
Yeah, and fantastic. I mean, honestly, and that I gotta for your book, I'm going to tell you something. The flagship, you said the flagship book, isn't that what you called it? I'm telling you, Canoeing Wild Rivers.
Thank you.
It is the book of books. It's second only to the Holy Bible. And I'm just saying. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. It's well written, and it's written in easy to understand. I mean, Cliff, you didn't go and try to find all the coolest words out of the dictionary that you could find to write a book. You wrote it to us people who are, normal.
Thank you. And
everything is explained so well. Even I could understand it. And I'm telling you, it's.
Well, I would say, for folks who are interested in doing this outdoor stuff elegantly, go to my website, cliffcanoe.com. There's last I counted, there's 114 blogs on there that deal with everything from the dangers of paddling to funny things to all sorts of stuff. You'll find something for you. It's free. Doesn't cost you a penny. Just go to cliffcanoe.com, click on blogs, and you can read a whole bunch of things about how to do all sorts of cool stuff. And, it's not a matter of reinventing the wheel. These guys who did this stuff, canoed and camped, these guys who did this stuff 150 years ago, some modern people tend to look at them and think, they were like kind of bozos and stuff. But if you read some of the really old books, you'll see these guys went light. They understood what going light was all about, and they were right on the cutting edge of the best modern stuff to go as light and as and as comfortable as they can. And it was like was it Nessmuk who said George Washington Sayers, or I can't remember, but I think it was George Washington Sayers who said, I come to the wilderness
Nessmuk said that.
Not to rough it.
Yep.
I come to smooth it.
Yep. Nessmuk was the guy. He was the one that said that. You're right. And I was thinking, I remember that.
So
it's funny because and I don't think, remember the Verlin Kruger and what's the other gentleman's name? That did the
the great Clint Waddell.
Yes, I think that's who it was. But they went super light, if I'm correct, on the trip that I'm trying to think of the name. What they had a name for that trip, and I can't think of it right now. But
they did several. Yeah, I knew Verlin quite well. Yeah.
There was a trip that they talked about. Yeah, and I trying to. One of them almost died, and I can't remember which that went. And something happened.
Verlin did lose a friend once on a trip. That's another story for another time.
I think it was one of those two almost died, and it was a really close call. But what I remember them talking about it was a book. I think it was something that Verlin had written, but it was something they took very minimal things. It wasn't, there was, clothes were worn like day after day after day. They didn't have,
boy.
Well, you remember?
Danger. That's so dangerous.
I remember.
Like, of course, you need to go light, but you need to have the essentials. So appropriate food. It is the most important thing. You need to eat. You need to have energy. And the gears, if you need a jacket or whatever, you need to bring those stuff. So don't go too light, people. Go with enough light.
Toilet paper is optional, right?
Yes, it is.
Well, remember Verlin's had this thing. He said 5 miles per pancake.
Oh, geez.
He could do 5 miles per pancake. So if he was going to be 25 mile a day, it'd be 5 pancakes.
Wow. Wow. I wonder how he figured that. I like how he figured that out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maya, we got some questions that people have been sending in. Cliff, you mind fielding some of these?
Sure.
All right.
Let's see.
Go all the way to the top and start.
The most important one, you already told us your favorite meal. And here the reply.
Bluefin Adventures wrote, getting older, you may lose the speed, but for the knowledge, you just adapt. That's absolutely right on. One of the things I still remember, the many times I've done a river in Canada, in Ontario, that I just love. It's called the Kopka River. It flows into Lake Nipigon. It's one of the most beautiful rivers within the tree line that I've done. It has a series of stair-step falls that look like you're right out of Alberta. And but it's got a lot of rapids on it. And ordinarily the rapids are pretty benign. But when the river is really high, you got to really be careful and know what you're doing. And there have been many times that I've looked at that, especially in later years, a couple of rapids on there that I had no trouble doing before. And I looked at it and said, well, maybe not. So that's a thing called judgment. And Bluefin Adventures, Bluefin is exactly right. The one thing you can't buy immediately that you have to develop over time is judgment. And some people laugh at that. But I mean, I have lots of stories and we don't have time to tell it. But one in particular stays with me. I had a couple of guys these guys were class 3-4 technical whitewater boaters. They knew what they were doing. They showed up my door. They had a couple of hot whitewater solo boats on there. And whenever I would get somebody like that on a trip, I would say to myself, oh, great. I'm fortunate now. I can put them with somebody who doesn't paddle well, and we'll get through just fine. So I remember we did, and this is an easy river, easy. It's called the Cree River, and the Cree River, it's in Saskatchewan. It flows parallel to the Fond du Lac, River. And it's about 150 miles of, it's just straight river. No lakes, no ponds in between, and parts of it have some nice rapids. Nothing above class 2. So the very first day of our trip, we got into, this was a low class 2 rapid, okay, but it had a fair number of rocks in it, but it had a number of clear channels also. But in order to get around them, here's the deal. You're paddling a 17-foot Royal X canoe filled with a couple of 100 pounds of gear and 2 paddlers. So you back ferry. You back ferry this way, you back ferry this way, which means you stay in place. You don't go down the river. You can go back and forth. You can look at things, and then you can move ahead. You know what? These guys, they did not know how to do a back ferry.
Oh, wow.
They did not. They were taught in their whitewater training that a back ferry was like an oh my God move, okay? What you do, you spin the canoe around and you forward ferry. That's really nice when you're driving a Mazda Miata. It's not so nice when you're driving a 16-wheeler. And that's what canoes are. They're 16-wheelers. You don't spin them around in the middle of a current and do a forward ferry. You back ferry. And if you don't know how to do a back ferry, you better stay off the rivers in northern Canada, because they're going to eat you alive. I don't care how good of a technical whitewater paddler you are. So the point is, and I think Bluefin will appreciate this, whenever I would get people on my trips who they would tell me, Cliff, I want to take a whitewater course, well, who should I sign up for? Should I go to Canada, go to Madawaska Canoe Center, whatever? I'd say, sure, go wherever you want. But just tell them this. Tell them you do not want to learn playboat paddling. You want to learn Canadian traditional double canoe paddling. It's different, okay? It's back ferries, it's side slips, it's eddy turns and peel outs, it's going slower than the current, and then, and stuff like that. And that's not what they teach you in those hot whitewater classes. The hot whitewater classes, you're out for fun, boy, run them. And it has to be a different attitude.
I got to tell you something. I have a little quick story I'm going to share with you guys. No, I'll put this on let's put this on the home screen, but I want to see Cliff laugh his ass off when I say this. So I had this buddy from high school. He was 5 years older than me. Okay. When I was in school, my dad drove the players bus, the basketball bus, and my mom was the secretary of the high school, whatever. My parents were all involved in school. So when they did basketball games, I got to go along. Well, I helped the manager of the team, and I thought, well, there's something to do, and I'll help hand these guys, these big basketball players, towels and water bottles and everything else. So we graduated high school, everybody, and I didn't see anybody for a long time. Well, at one point we reconnected, this fellow and myself, and the only reason we did that is because I found out he was a canoeist, and I go, oh, how cool! And now there's this guy, this alumni of the school I graduated from. He's 5 years older than me. He's a canoeist. And so what I want to do is impress this guy. Okay. So we decide, hey, let's go on a trip. Now he ended up moving we had done some things. I think we did some paddling around here. I don't remember, but he moved to, shortly after we connected, he moved to Arkansas. So we made a plan. Why don't you come on down, bring your canoe, and we'll do the Buffalo River? I said, yeah, that'll be great. And I had done the Buffalo River previously a couple times or whatever, but this time I was going to impress him. And I brought along all this cool luxury kind of stuff. And I had a hell of a lot of weight in this 17-foot Novacraft Prospector and wood gunnels. It was a pretty nice boat. And I'll tell you what, we got into water, and it was a very swift moving current that week, because the lower Buffalo had just come out of flood stage. There was that much water in there. And I'll tell you what, we put the boat in the water. It was extremely heavy. I have no idea how much it weighed, but whatever it did weigh was way too much. We probably had about 4 inches of freeboard in that boat, Cliff. 4 inches. And that was a generous 4 inches. Anyway, and I found myself in the bow because I just knew how this was going to go. So I put myself in the bow, and I'm telling you, if I hadn't had the paddling skills that I had, we would have capsized. It would have been over with before it even started. So to back up what you're saying, man, get the paddling skills, because you'll find yourself in places that you'd wish you knew just a little bit more than what you know if you don't have them. Because
no, you're right. And and while you were saying that, Bluefin sent another little note in, and it said, "Boy, that's a really lot of load. That's a heavy load." Oh, as I said, well, you're gonna have two paddlers, and you're gonna have, I think I said 100 pounds of gear. No, you're gonna have more than that in there.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna have approximately 40 pounds, 45 pounds a piece, probably, let's say 90 pounds of personal gear. And then you're probably going to have another 50 pounds anyway, 60, I'd say 60 pounds, maybe. You got food and community gear. You go for let's say a 14-day trip in northern Canada. You got to carry food.
Yeah.
You got to carry, cooking gear,
And
tents, tarps, stoves, gasoline. It all adds up. And you're going to have some backups and duplicates too.
Yeah, I have a dumb question because I just canoed once or twice, like the real one with CW. Otherwise, I just do like small things for fun. So, what do you do with water? Like, do you need to bring water to drink, or do you use the water in the river and you add some, I don't know, like filter or chemistry to clean up? What do you do with the water? Because when I go hike and climb, the water, it is the most heavy thing that I have in my backpack.
Well, that is absolutely a great question. It's better than a great question, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot of water purification stuff on the market today. All my friends have it. I have it. Now, the difference between me and them is I believe that it works. The EPA says it works, okay? We have the data that shows that it works, but my friends don't believe it. They carry this stuff, but then they decide they want to carry water too, which is about 9 pounds per person per day. So what a gallon of water weighs. So here's what we do. First of all, I have never carried water on any trip I have ever been. 2 things I find will deal with everything that I've had, either in Canada, Alaska, the United States, whatever. Now, if you are in an area where you have chemical wastes, that's a done deal. You got to carry water, okay? If you don't have chemical waste, what you have are biological waste. We got easy ways of taking care of that. My favorite is a product called the SteriPen. The SteriPen is about the size of a magic marker or a great big crayon, okay? It runs off of 4 lithium AAA batteries, all right? It has a bulb on it that puts out ultraviolet light. You put it in the water, and the ultraviolet kills everything in the water. Now, as all this thing is, it's a copy of what people who have cottages, cabins up in northern Minnesota have used for decades. They take water out of the lake that they're on. They have a unit that has a big bulb. It's about this long, all right? And and when they turn on the water, the bulb lights up. Now, this is all hidden. It's below the sink, and the water, not below the sink, it's in the system, and the water runs over this bulb, and that's it, and it kills everything. Now, the beauty of the SteriPen is that it kills everything. When I say everything, I mean everything. Viruses, the tiniest viruses, ultraviolet kills them. Now, there's some purification filters that will take out viruses too. That's the good news. The bad news is they are slow. The unit is bulky and cumbersome. Now, the thing that the SteriPen won't do is SteriPen, is it has to see clear water. In other words, it's got to see the critters in the water in order for the light to kill them. So it will not work in cloudy water or in dirty water. All right, so that takes care of that. If you have dirty water, then you use a pre-filter first, just a quick pre-filter, and then use the SteriPen, and you're done. The other thing about the SteriPen that I love is it doesn't impart any flavor. There's no chlorine involved, no chemicals involved, so you don't taste anything. So that's how I would deal with that. Now, supposing you're going to do a canoe trip or a rafting trip out west on one of the U.S. Western rivers, many of those rivers look like chocolate malt. There's so much silt in them. SteriPen isn't going to work now, but it will work. We'll figure that out. As all we need to do is go down to our local pharmacy and buy a bottle of alum. It's about a 1 pound bottle. I don't know what it costs now. The last one I bought was 20 years ago. I think it cost me about $10. It's probably $30 now. I don't know. So what you do is you do the alum treatment. Now, the entire procedure, you'll see the entire procedure in my books, Canoeing Wild Rivers and Camping's Top Secrets, the latest edition. But basically, here's what you do. You take about a 2-gallon bucket of water, and you put about a tablespoon of alum in the water. And then you take a spoon and you gently stir this thing. Gently. In one direction only. Don't switch directions. So you get a little bit of a flow going. And pretty soon you're going to see a flocculent precipitate forming. I used to teach biology. It's flock. Flock is like snow. Precipitate, it's falling down like the snow in one of these snow globes. That's what you're going to see. Yeah. When that happens, stop, go away. Go away, come back in about 10 minutes, and all the sediment will be on the bottom. The top will be clear. Gently take a ladle or an old-fashioned Sierra cup and peel off the top, okay? Put it in another bucket, and then Steri-Pen what you want, and it's done. And we have used this we've used it on the Rio Grande. We used it on the San Juan. The San Juan was so bad. It was like, we did one trip on the Rio Grande. I could show you the picture. You wouldn't believe it. The silt was so thick. It was right after major rain. The river was almost in flood stage. It was so thick. You couldn't see an inch in the water, not even 1 inch. And that alum takes it right out right now. And that's it. The trouble is, here's the thing that I have found with most people who do. It's not just most people who do outdoor stuff. It's almost most people who do anything. They don't want to learn skills. They want to buy something to fix the problem. Okay. The question is, you wouldn't have the problem if you had the skill. Okay. Like when I used to teach this outdoor stuff, I would teach people how to sharpen a knife. They don't know how to sharpen a knife. So they got to pay money to buy some machine to do it for them. They buy one of these cheap little junky things you run the knife through, and it does a lousy job. Yep. When I taught school, I had an outdoors unit. This is no joke. These are 13, 14-year-old kids. I had to show them how to safely open and close a pocket knife without cutting their fingers off. Wow. But people don't want to learn stuff. They want to just.
We have so much knowledge, information because of the more modern world, the internet, but people don't want to use that. What people want to do is buy expensive and good gears and show off with the fancy stuff, but they don't.
Look what I got, man. It's funny too, Cliff, is the fact that what you just said, and back in the day, and it's not all that long ago. I mean, I don't know, maybe it is, and I just don't realize it. But back in the day, we could do things like you could teach things like how to open a pocket knife, how to sharpen a knife, things like that. Hell, I don't even think you can do that anymore, can you?
Well,
I mean,
you can. you can, but sometimes it's a bit of a battle. When I was teaching these outdoor skill stuff, we used to have a little unit where kids would go out. We'd go to the hockey rink, and they build a no-trace fire. You basically dig a hole, and you build your fire in the hole, and then they make a one-match fire, and they cook a little simple meal of some soup and dumplings or rice or whatever. And in order to do that, the kids had to have a pocket knife. Well, you can't bring knives to school. My God, you're going to cut somebody's throat. And so, but if I had my own pocket knives, okay, and I could lend them out to the kids for the unit, that was fine. So I wrote Cabela's, and I asked them if they would supply 10. Do I have one sitting here? No, I guess I took it downstairs. So I asked them if they'd give me 10 pocket knives for my unit. By the way, that unit is detailed in the back of my book, Boundary Waters Canoe Camping. So if you're a teacher or whatever and you want this unit, it's the last thing in my book, Boundary Waters Canoe Camping. Yeah. And Cabela wrote back and they said, no, we're not we can't give any knives away like that. We're not in the business of doing that. So then I wrote him a second letter and I said, look, you want to get young people involved. You talk about how you support education. I said, I can't do this activity without pocket knives. Kids cannot bring them to school. They won't let them in. And I can't afford to go out and buy 10 or 12 either.
Sure.
So she wrote back and she said, we thought about that, changed our mind. I'm sending you 10 pocket knives. So she did. So I could use that. I could show kids how to sharpen the knives. They'd be issued out. Kids did the activity. So they learned how to make the shavings, the tiny little things that it took to make a fire. And then they would go out, they'd practice one day, and then the next day was for real. The next day, if they'd get 2 matches after that, it cost them a point a match. Okay, so
it's cool. You made a competition out of it too. That's cool.
Yeah, and in the end, everybody got an A. Okay, everybody was happy. They all learned some stuff. They loved it. They went home. They did it with their parents. And this is 40 years later. There's not a year I don't get some email or something from some kid who still remembers that.
It's so cool.
Oh boy. Yeah, I would love to have that in a school. Like, that's so cool. Those kids are so glad to have had you as a teacher teaching those stuff.
Yeah.
So cool.
Did you, when you were here, did I play you? And I think I did. Did I play you Cliff Jacobson's
No.
The fire classes.
Yeah,
and
what was it called?
How to make a tent in the
the
rain.
Yes.
And
that's right.
Fire one as well.
What's the name of the video? I can't think of it, Cliff. It was your
What
video.
are we talking about?
Well, it was the video you did, and I can't remember. Oh, the Forgotten Skills. That's what it was called. The Forgotten. And
that's a video.
I go, this is Cliff Jacobson. You're going to meet, when she was going to meet you for the first time at Canoecopia. And then we went to, no, it was your house. We went to your house, I think, before, didn't we?
Yeah. Yes.
And the cool thing was,
and then Cliff's house.
Yeah. And then I showed her your thing, and I'm telling you the whole with the shavings. And I said, I studied this because my way wasn't as good as Cliff's way. And I'm like, man, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to get this. It's like somebody watching Eddie Van Halen playing the hammer on guitar. I'm going to do this until I get it right. And I did that. And Cliff, it's the best thing out there.
Thank you. I taught this class called Environmental Science for many, many years. And I also taught biology and earth science. And you know what? We teach so much stuff in school, which is such a waste of time.
Agree.
One of the things that amazed me is when I started teaching. Okay, so I have a master's degree. Okay, degree in forestry, master's degree, and start teaching biology. And the first thing I noticed was, my goodness, there's a lot of stuff in this book I don't know. How could I have a master's degree? And this is a high school biology class. Okay?
Yeah.
And what's actually happened is this stuff now that used to be college level stuff just keeps getting shoved down to lower and lower levels. And it's a major reason why so many kids don't like school. Why? Because you're 13 years old. You don't need this stuff now. You don't need to know it now. It's not important. Yeah. If you want to be a biologist, you'll get it later. Okay. So you can
agree.
The important thing is just a couple things. One, to get young people to value education, to get them to want to learn. Okay. And to teach them how to find things, okay? How to learn. If they can do that, they can learn anything. And it's like my friend who was a retired doctor. He was CEO of a line of health. He said, Cliff, he said, I didn't learn how to be a doctor in college. I learned when I got out on a job. And he says, I got to tell you, there's a lot of practical nurses out there or nurses out there, he says, that have been practicing for 10 years that know way more than these young doctors. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you learn on the job. Any job that you get, they're going to teach you. You don't need to, and to this add the fact, so many studies have been done on this. When you teach something to a kid and then you give him a test, he or she will forget 80 or 90% of it within 60 days of when he learned it.
I can believe
and you
that.
won't remember it. It won't come back to you. Why? Because you have no use for it. So why teach that stuff to begin with? Instead, I hate to go into a rant here, but this whole education thing began when cavemen had to keep their children safe from saber-toothed tigers.
Yeah.
So they taught them what to do. We're not teaching kids things that they need to know for that time period in their life. And from what you can see from the rhetoric that's on television every night, we're sure not teaching them how to be kind to their neighbors either.
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go into it.
No, and you know what? There's no apology necessary. I'm going to tell you something. Honestly, our age difference is probably about equal. Yours from mine and mine from Maya's. And I'll tell you something, honestly, the reason that we have a lot of the problems we do and I'm not going to just say in America, I'm talking in other countries as well, is because the down to earth logical thinking is not it's not popular anymore. And I don't know why. It worked pretty damn well for a long time. And all of a sudden now we know better. Everybody knows better than no, we don't need, I don't know. But the down to earth thinking and reasoning,
But I really think that is a technologic problem, because that's what I said before. We have so much knowledge, so much information and material, stuffs in general nowadays. And life became so easy that we don't need to think anymore. We don't need to just look for things, to build things, because everything are there. Like the water is there, food is there, like everything that you need is there. You press a button and you have whatever you want to.
And on top of that, we have Chat GPT, and that takes care of anything that you don't. I'm telling you, honestly,
so true.
It's sad. And
I can't speak.
Where are we going to be in 20 years with Chat GPT? That's only going to get more intense. We need.
Yes. Yeah.
That's turned off. That feature's turned off on my computer. I'm not going to use it.
All right. That's awesome. That's awesome.
If somebody asks me a question, they're going to hear my answer. If somebody wants to talk to me, I'll talk to them. My daughters tell me that, it's real hard. Dating today is weird. It's just like we used to call girls on the phone. Girls, you don't know how scary that was for a 14-year-old to pick up a phone and call a girl. It was like, oh my God, I don't know. Can I and do this? And you'd build up to this. You'd think about it for days.
Oh yeah.
Now it's no big deal. You just text them. It's totally impersonal.
But I have like a regular job and in a company, and I have many younger people working in my team for me, and my boss always say to me, like, you need to teach these young kids to make a call. But if you message someone and it is important and the person didn't reply, you just call people. And those young kids don't know how to call people. They don't want to call and they want to be bored. So please tell your kids that they need to make calls for important things.
Oh, you're right. You're right. They want to pick up.
So funny.
It's that and this ghosting bit. The fact they even made a movie about ghosting now. You know what that ghosting is, don't you? Yeah.
Ghosting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Cliff, if you come into my house, Maya knows this firsthand. If you come into my house, the first thing that you see, pretty much one of the first things you see is a rotary telephone. Now, up until a few years ago, that phone actually worked, and it's probably more than a couple of years ago, but probably about 15 years ago, maybe, I don't know, maybe a little longer. But the phone actually worked. And when we tore out some things, we did a bunch of renovation, put sidewalk in all the way around the house. Okay. That wire got cut, and the guy that was helping me said, yeah, don't worry about it. That's over with. But it was live. And I have so many people, young people that have, been here working on my house or whatever, or contractors or whatever, or just friends or their friends' kids coming to my house, go, what is that? How does that work? And I think to myself,
it has capes?
Yeah, and the whole dial thing. How the hell do you do that? What's that all about? I'm thinking, am I that stinking old? Or, and I get it. They don't need them anymore. But it just makes you feel like, wow, I'm old. I'm old.
On the heels of that, you know what Consumer Reports said is the best way to keep somebody from stealing your car?
No, I don't. What?
Get a car with a manual transmission.
Oh,
they don't know how to drive it.
That's true.
No, there was a case in Minneapolis last year where a guy was, what do you call where they try to take over your car? What's the word I'm searching for?
Hot wire.
No. At gunpoint. They stop you and try to take over your car.
I guess. I don't know.
Yes, hijacking.
Carjacking.
And it was a Subaru with a manual transmission. And the guy got in it and he says, how do you drive this thing? How do you drive this thing? And the other guy's freaking out. I can't teach you how to drive it in 1 minute. And he slammed the door and got out of there. He couldn't drive it.
Wow.
So
see, now there you go. I think insurance companies should take note of that. And reduce the hell out of some people's premiums that drive manual. Have manual.
I know. I have two manual cars, so I know.
I love manual transmissions, man. I mean, they're fast.
I do love to. That's funny. Yes, the sounds of the motor, like when you exchange. I love that.
I had a sports car that was a stick shift too, and I really missed that car. It was cool. Yeah.
What did you have?
It was a Laser XC. It was a Chrysler Laser XC, 1984. When that car came out, Carroll Shelby, Carroll Shelby, was designed that car for Chrysler back then. He worked for Lee Iacocca. And I can tell you something. That car, I should have lost my license, but my cousin's dad was a state trooper, and I can tell this story now. He caught me doing 148 miles an hour, and
jeez.
He didn't write me a ticket. What he did is he actually called his cousin, my mother, and I got in a lot of trouble with that whole thing. But, and I was out of high school, and I still got in a lot of trouble for it. So it just, but that was a fast car, and I literally wrecked it one night and almost took my life. But I wrecked it at 126 mile an hour. So I'm lucky to be here. Yeah, but I got some, yeah, I mean, there's some things that happen. I got a jaw that's not right because of that. All kinds of stuff that but anyway, I did walk away from it. But the stick shift car, man, that's a great. I've never heard that, but that makes a lot of Cliff, you've got some really cool. I asked you what you've been up to. You've got an 85-year-old guy has got some. He's still doing trips, man. You didn't stop doing trips. You've got some cool trips coming up starting in March. Is that right?
Yeah, well, we got a week trip on the Jacks Fork River in Missouri. I've done the Jacks Fork a couple of times. I've done the Buffalo, 4 times maybe, something like that. The Buffalo is actually my second favorite U.S. river until the Jacks Fork. And then the Jacks Fork became my second favorite, and the Buffalo went down to third place. So.
Why is that actually, Cliff?
Well, the Buffalo is a really nice river, but the Jacks Fork, scenically, it's just as pretty. It's got more interesting rapids on it, I think. The camping it's got more camping spots. It has more of a remote feel to it, simply because I think there aren't as many people who do the Jacks Fork as they do the Buffalo. But both of them are great. The Ozark Rivers are pretty spectacular. Bluefin just wrote, manual cars are the best. My wife says she has only 2 feet here, so there shouldn't be 3 pedals. I now drive an automatic car.
That's a good one. I love
I love it.
Your wife is great.
Yeah, I understand. That. Yeah. So anyway, it's a really nice trip, but you got to do it early. We're doing this one in March, middle of March. It's a little chilly and a little dicey that early, but usually the water levels are good and nobody's on the river. I mean, like nobody's on the river in mid-March. Usually they wait until early April. Early to mid-April before people get on. Pretty much the same with the Buffalo, but the Buffalo has got 1 million people on it. I mean, there's a lot on the Current and the Jacks Fork too, but the Buffalo is like Grand Central Station. It's a beautiful river, but it's got a lot of people.
It's pretty populated in the summertime for sure. What's the other river? I'm trying to think. It begins with a C. It's beyond me right now. The Missouri. I think it begins with a C.
The Current?
Current. Thank you. I couldn't, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, they run together. The Jacks Fork, I think, goes into the Current, or is it vice versa? I can't. But anyway.
3 or 4 times I was supposed to do the Current River, and then there was the Jacks Fork. We were going to do that, and I haven't done either, and I really feel terrible about that.
No, they're both. That part of the world has got some of the most beautiful, crystal clear water that you will ever see. I mean, like Blue Lagoon stuff. It's, So I love it. I mean, I love that. But my all-time favorite is still the Rio Grande. That's still my top U.S. river. Yeah.
And you know what? What is that? I mean, I'm sure everybody wants to know, why is that your favorite, Cliff? What is Cliff's favorite?
Well,
and I read that in your book, actually, by the way.
Yeah. Well, first, there's a couple of blogs on my website about the Rio Grande, and you might enjoy reading about them. Just type in Rio Grande, they'll come up. The thing about the Rio Grande is, first of all, it's pretty remote. You crash and burn on the Rio Grande, and getting out of there won't be easy, because it's going to be probably a minimum, I would say, of 10 miles of walking, and everything you're walking through cuts, burns, or bites.
Holy smokes.
Sounds
like fun.
And you're right. You're right on the Mexican border.
Yeah.
And the scenery is spectacular. You're going through canyons that are 1,000 feet tall.
Yeah.
You can, and what canyons, many, many different canyons, some very challenging whitewater, absolutely spectacular camping, no bugs, plenty of other things to bite you, but no bugs. The weather is generally quite stable. If it rains, it's unusual, and it doesn't rain for long. And it's, I don't know, it's just magical. And if you do the lower half, especially, you get into that, you're just going to start rubbing shoulders with Mexicans, on the other side, farmers, ranchers, things like that. And they're wonderful people.
Yeah.
The Mexicans are, they're just so warm-hearted and friendly. And I mean, we could talk Rio Grande stories.
I've heard some of those stories. They're cool. Yeah.
But we don't really have time for that. Yeah. I know. But I would say, there's a movie people might enjoy watching. It's called The River and the Wall.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called. The River and the Wall. I think we rented it on Hulu or something like that. It's a long movie. It's 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's a documentary.
Wow.
And it's about a half a dozen people decided to go down the Rio Grande from the very top all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. Okay. The Gulf of Mexico, all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, and document this. And they didn't know what they were doing, but they had heart. They began I think if I remember right, they began by riding bicycles, and they were getting stuck in the mud and all sorts of things. So they decided, forget that. They did hiking for a while, which worked out okay. Then they switched to horses. And fortunately, I had one guy who knew about horses. Otherwise, they would have been in big trouble there. And then ultimately, where they could canoe it, they switched to canoes. I don't think any one of them had ever been in a canoe before. And they were crashing and burning and running some rapids they had no business in. And when the canoes were overloaded, and those of you who are paddlers would be watching that movie, rolling your eyes and saying, oh my God, how did they survive? But if you take all that away, which was part of the entertainment, and you see what they accomplished, it was very interesting. They rubbed shoulders with all sorts of ranchers and things, and they explained that, okay, if you did put a wall on the American side along the Rio Grande, that river changes so much every year, going back and forth, meandering, cuts new channels, that in a few years, that wall would have had to be about a half a mile, if I recall, from the river itself, because of the meandering keeps cutting into it, and pretty soon the river would be at where the new wall is, and in the meantime, the U.S. would have ceded a quarter or half a mile of land to Mexico. Yeah. Plus, the Mexicans, well, the Americans do too, they let their cattle go into the river, and that's how they get water. They get water in the river and so forth. You build a wall, they can't get to the river. So how are they going to, drink water? And in terms of the Mexican side, many of those little Mexican communities, may be a mile up or more up the Mexican side, and the cows just wander down to the river. Small animals couldn't get through the wall. And it just goes on and shows how stupid this wall thing was. And I don't want to give away the film, but at the end of it, it's very telling. They're real close to the Gulf of Mexico, and there's a big wall on the American side. And one of the guys who was a climber, Maya would appreciate this, he looks up at the wall and he says, I think I can climb that. So his friends sit down and say, well, go for it. 15 minutes later, he's at the top of the wall waving. So much for walls. So there's a lot in this film. It's called The River and the Wall, and it's excellent. I don't know where you can find it now, but it's worth watching.
Very cool. What's it called again? The name of it?
The River and the Wall.
The River and the Wall.
River and the Wall.
That's cool. I'm going to check. I'm going to look for that. And I just had you say that here because instead of writing a note, I can go back and listen to this and get that name. So that's cool. Well, I know, and we're kind of running along, but I'll tell you what, I've enjoyed every moment of this, and I know Maya has too. Maya's got to get up for a little work tomorrow, and so I'm going to just say this. I know that you are going to be going to Greece in the near future. Yep. And what do you think would be, you think it'd be okay if we have you back on and tell us about your trip to Greece?
Sure.
Once you get back? That'd be cool. Would you come back? That'd be awesome.
Hey, before we go, I want to thank you, CW, and I want to tell Maya, it's just so great to see you. I still remember that time you guys were at my house drinking margaritas, and
that was fun. I'm telling you.
That was so nice. I love it so much. Thank you very much for having us, and thank you for being here again for us. Mm-hmm. It is so nice to talk to you and to hear your stories.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. And real quickly about that, from time to time that goes through my brain sitting out on your patio and drinking those margaritas and all that and having dinner with you guys in town. That was and putting us up. I mean, that was a very generous, that was a very huge gesture for you, a generous gesture. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Well, in the meantime, until we see you again, Cliff, thanks for coming on the show. It was a pleasure having you with us. And Maya, any last thing you want to say to Cliff before we let him go?
Well, thank you for exist and make the camping world better.
And one question for her before you still got that Jeep? You still got your Jeep?
I don't.
No?
Yeah, no, he was getting too old with so much problem, and I was spending so much money. So
it's a Jeep.
Yeah.
Cheap. That's true. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I got
Well,
younger car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Maya, right now with those mountains, you probably could use that Jeep. You know what I'm saying? Climbing those mountains. I'm sure. And hey, you learned about water tonight. About, hey, I don't have to carry 8 pounds of water. Well, pounds, I don't know what your kilos, whatever. But thing is, and if you want those things, I can help you find a place to get those. I think you can get some of that stuff on Amazon. I know you can, the Steri-Pen, you can get on Amazon, but I'll be off.
Totally. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Cliff, the best advice from Cliff Jacobson always. Always.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, likewise. And we're going to leave you on the screen here while I say that's all for now, kids. And this is CW Getz along with Maya Marzaki saying thanks for tuning in to Outdoors People. See you next time.
Ciao.